Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay. So need a motion to approve minutes on the 11th.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Clickwell?
Yep.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Okay. Alrighty. And Dave?
Dave's not here.
Dave?
We can come back.
Okay, we'll come back over. Was 15th. Do we want to, Dave, go ahead if you want to, if you're back, if you're prepared to, for number 2 or not
Number
yet.
2. Christie's got it for me here, I think.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Okay, on September 12th, on your behalf for Transit, I approved the hiring of Patricia Dennis to the position of part-time transit driver. Job number 2210-1 to be effective September 24th, 2018, at a rate of $14.25 per hour with a 1-year probationary period. This offer of employment is contingent upon successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions. And then on September 14th, on your behalf, for Job and Family Services, I acknowledge the following new hire appointment. As the Director of JFS has complied with the Board of Commissioners recruitment and hiring procedures for Sharon Palmer, who is a Clerical Specialist 3. That's a replacement for in that position, effective August 17th, 2018.
Alrighty.
Deputy Clerk?
If you want to come on up then. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. Morning.
Twice in a week.
Yeah, that's right.
Last time you covered the donut run out.
Yeah.
All right.
This is for the proposal for the 911 equipment for the next gen, and brought Google along, because he knows a hell of a lot more about it than I do.
He gave a great presentation to the ADP board, and I listened and I said, I want the commissioners to hear this. And
So I should
Yeah.
have just
Skip
taped
it.
it.
Yeah, right. Can you do it twice, right?
Yeah.
No, I understand you put a lot of time and effort into this, so.
Yeah, it was a learning experience as well. The first thing is, before I even said buying anything, because I date change, by the way, don't embrace technology. My nickname's Disaster Lou and Liability Lou, so, I mean, I don't like to move forward. But two of the things that came up was, one, our current system in Geauga counties, all of them are 13 years old. Okay. Now that's a problem because we closed Chesterland, Bainbridge is pretty much folded, lost Middlefield. That leaves us with the Geauga County Sheriff's Office and with Chardon. So if the equipment goes south and it's having problems, but if it goes down to the Sheriff's Office, we have no real backup because we have 9 trunks active at the Sheriff's Office, and usually 3 of them are off the hook. You're trying to put those calls into Chardon, which only has 3 trunks. 5 seats, usually with 4 dispatchers in them, trying to go to a position that's 1 vacant position in Chardon. It's just not doable, not for a real solution. So right now, we really can't lose the Sheriff's Office. That's just the bottom line. Second thing is the wonderful state of Ohio. They came up with these, hey, next gen standards, DSINet, which is nothing but a private internet for police and fire. Fusion centers, dispatch centers, PSAPs. They came up with what was called operational standards. So everybody, starting back in 2015, said, wow, we should buy something. But what should we buy? There's no standard. Okay, so they finally came out with one. They had us submit packets. We were able to submit our packet just the beginning of this month, and I got on the phone with them and said, hey, where are we at? And they said, yeah, your system doesn't meet standard. That's the bottom line. Comes close, but not going to do it. They're looking at all 88 counties to see how's that going to affect Ohio. But the little catch is, starting in January 2019, we lose $20,000 a month unless we have something that says, here's our solution to meet standard. Well,
20,000 from the grant?
$20,000 a month from the wireless assistance fund that the state gives us, yeah. And you don't get it back. It's not like you're going to put it away and say, hey, you know.
Well, and residents are paying that on their phone bills.
Oh, yeah, we just flat out lose it. We flat out lose it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, that's not just happening to us. Okay, it's not. And that's why within this last year, a lot of people in Ohio started buying new phone systems. And so I said, okay, number one, what's this stuff cost? I looked at the 5 big ones that were in the state of Ohio, pretty much all cost the same. I said, okay, so that's not going to be a deciding factor. What's the ESI net? Oh, it's how you're putting regions together. Well, we're in FEMA Region 5. Called everybody up. What are you using? How long have you been using it? One thing came clear. Lake County, pre-Vesta system, now a current Vesta system. Trumbull County, pre-Vesta system, getting ready to upgrade. Mahoney County, putting theirs in right now. Portage and Summit County jumped early. They've had a Vesta system in both places at all their PSAPs. Okay, countywide, fairly large system, for over a year up and running. Okay. The only one, well, 2 that are not Vesta would be Geauga County, which is Emergency Call Works, and Ashtabula County, which is using Westel. Okay. Now, the neat thing about that is Motorola went in and purchased the top 2, which was Vesta and Emergency Call Works. So when it comes to reliability, it's proven in Ohio, it's proven here in our region. When it comes to compatibility, well, if you can't make a Vesta system talk to a Vesta system, it's going to be a Vesta problem. If you can't let's say Vesta talk to ECW, guess what? Motorola owns them both. And we're not going to be going it alone. We're not going to say, hey, we've got a Z-Tron system, we can't talk to ECW. They're going to say, well, talk to your vendor. Well, no, you are the vendor, you are the owner. I mean, like I say, Lake County has to talk to Cuyahoga County, all these places do. So it really became clear that Vesta was the way to go. So I started working with Airbus at the time on how do we see what we're getting. I compared prices like on servers and things that you could take a look at, but really everything was really close. One thing is Airbus allows you to kind of go piecemeal. Motorola doesn't, but since we started under Airbus, we're still allowed to. ECW, when I wanted to get another contract from them, they said you have to purchase 5 years of maintenance. If you don't purchase 5 years of maintenance with it, you don't buy it. Okay, this is like $50,000 to $60,000 a year for maintenance. It's ridiculous. It's like an inkjet printer. Hey, we'll give you the printer, but those cartridges cost crazy.
Right.
So I talked with Lake County and I talked with Summit County. They do what's called customer owned and maintained. Everybody else likes to just use factory technicians, Vesta technicians, and I respect that because I like getting my geek on sometimes. Eric, the other guy, does talk to the guys, like I say, Lake County and Summit. But one of the problems is we're going to be working on individual systems. We'll share knowledge between each other, but we're not working at hundreds of systems nationwide. But I said, how do you back the cost down? Well, for Summit, they did a great thing. They opened a blanket contract, a little bit amount with Airbus, and said, if I need this, you'll drop ship it the next day. So instead of having a lot of spare parts and everything else, they train their people to do this front end stuff that costs a lot of money to send somebody out to say, hey, is the problem with Windstream, is it with AT&T, or is it in your system? And usually the stuff that goes bad is the stuff that touches wires because that's where lightning comes in at. So they got those things ready to be purchased. And he said every time they got a problem, call it up, next day they got a drive, next day they got a audio codec, drop it in, program, done. That can save us $20,000 to $25,000 a year on a maintenance contract. So over 10 years, that's a chunk of change.
So you're not locked into purchasing X.
Well, that's the other thing right now.
Yeah.
I only wanted to do 1 year with anybody because, like I said, AT&T's doing it with some of the counties. CenturyLink's doing it in Lorraine. I've asked CenturyLink would they come into Geauga because it's actually Windstream territory, so we do have a little bit of a problem with that. Phone companies don't like to play well together. But I reminded AT&T that they used to work on our old 911 equipment. I mean, a long time ago. So anyhow, they sent a contract out where they broke it out, literally showed that we could save $20,000, $25,000 a year if we put our own boots on the ground. CenturyLink, they're thinking about it. There's another place called B&C. It's an office down in Columbus, Ohio, that works with Delaware County. This guy named Patrick Brandt, absolute genius with this stuff. Uses Spillman, uses Vesta. So he's almost a mirror like Geauga County, but much larger. He did the same thing with them. He said, I'll hire you as a vendor, but here's the way it's going to run. Instead of 4-hour maintenance, no, I can change a hard drive. We'll make it 24-hour maintenance. So instead of paying $50,000, we're going to pay this. They were willing to talk. So it gives us options every year, and we can say, what do we need? And hopefully, by sharing knowledge, skills, and ability with Lake County, which is up on board with it, and Summit County, and Mahoney County is actually suggesting making a users group to say, hey, let's not duplicate our efforts. We want to drive that maintenance cost down. I get the stuff, it's super technical and everything, but, you know, if you can share that knowledge, and once again, if AT&T is looking for a contract, or if CenturyLink's looking for a contract, or BNC, or whoever,
Right.
if we could maybe, and this would come back to the commissioner's obviously, you know, maybe some type of memorandum of understanding saying we'll all go with the same vendor. Well, guess what? If they want business from this region, let's see what it's
Exactly.
worth. You know, let's see
Yeah.
how far we can drive
Yeah.
this cost down.
Pull it together.
Yeah.
What was the county you were saying that is doing it to similar to what you're proposing?
Well, they all are. The big customer owned and maintained part,
Mhm.
like I say, Delaware County does it, but probably the two closest would be Summit and Lake. They
So-
both do customer owned and maintained. They have trained technicians. There's in the proposal training for me and Eric to go down and do it. And that doesn't allow you to really maintain the whole system, but it gives you an overview, because the most expensive part in maintenance that like AT&T's looking at is they have to come out and once again say, where's the problem? Is there a problem?
Mhm.
Is it operator headspace? Did somebody not take the mute button off the console over there? What is it? Yeah.
Right. So I guess it's proven in these other counties.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're
they're
kinda-
using it.
And you're duplicating
Oh, yeah,
off of them.
I hate
Yeah.
to reinvent the wheel.
No, that's, I'm with you. I'm not afraid to copy somebody's homework, you know what I mean? Yeah.
One
Yeah.
of the things you got me
Yeah.
is like I say, it's just my wonderful personality, but I was always told you never, you know, you always hear you have nothing to lose by trying,
Right.
and that's not true. If it doesn't work, you lose. You lose your money, your resources, and everything else. If you skydive or jump out of airplanes at all, you have a lot to lose by trying if it doesn't work.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I like to copy things that do work, and I don't trust vendors at all.
Good.
So unless it works here, because it just, every time they turn
What,
around.
just on a different subject, how many 911 calls do we average, or does it fluctuate depending? I mean,
Well,
What's our
about
traffic?
70% is going to be like your wireless calls,
Mhm.
okay? But even more than that is your administrative calls. On one line, we get like 30,000 calls on our 286 just to say, hey, I want to get transferred to the jail or something like that.
oh, I see. Okay, so that's more of a phone system type thing, but 911, like emergency type calls, do we?
We get about 200 a week. You're looking about maybe 28,000, 30,000 actual 911 calls a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things we didn't price into this, we use what's called GEM 911, which is our only way to go SMS texting. We've been doing it since 2015. State does not have a standard on it yet, okay? The big thing is all these places will sell it to you, but we get, well, since 2015, we had, I think it was 8, the high point was 8 one year, actual emergency calls
Mhm.
on the text to 911 that you can say was, you know, justified. All these things are looking at about $30,000 to put it into the system, and roughly $12,000 a year reoccurring costs just for circuit costs.
Wow.
So I mean, it just gets nuts. I think when I did the last one, we had 18 over. Since 2015, we had actual 18 emergency calls. So if you look at that, you're talking 4 a year,
Yeah.
and you'd have to be spending at least $30,000 up front and $12,000 a year afterwards.
It's a
like
lot.
nuts.
Right.
So I said no way.
So you guys are handling almost all the dispatching for the county right now? except for-
92% of the calls come
Yeah.
through Geauga County Sheriff's
Right.
Office.
So the individual police departments aren't doing it anymore? Maybe
No.
Chardon, that's it? But
Chardon is-
Russell, Bainbridge, Chesterland, no? Okay.
And the final cost would be about how much then?
Well, with the fiber run, the actual quote was $299, $533.66 for the actual phone equipment. We've got some other things that make it actually connect between the buildings and stuff like that. That was approved at the ADP meeting as well. So,
And then you got the furniture, and we've kind of
well,
looked
the
into that.
furniture's
'cause it's
a
specialized.
separate argument.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because
But
I'm
it's part of the
still
overall
arguing.
funding that's in this request for financials is the furniture.
I'm actually trying to find a cheaper way of doing the same thing. One of the biggest problems with the furniture is staying ADA compliant. Because once again, you put something in there. I looked at trying to upgrade our consoles, and a console, cheap end, you're looking at about 11,000. High end, you're looking at about 16,000 per position. Over 10 years, I get that's not a huge dollar if you divide it by 10, but I tried to look at what it would cost to get ours fixed up, even if we were doing it ourselves, and I was up to the $7,000, $8,000 amount for a try.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's almost worth just redoing it once.
So when you're saying furniture,
Well,
this
it's
is
the
a,
dispatch consoles, the whole thing.
okay.
Yeah, furniture's probably not the right term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, it's more of like
Yeah, sounds like
consoles,
you're right,
right?
like
Well,
Like,
it's where
Yeah.
you mount the servers, the all
Like
the
the
stuff.
station, when
Yeah,
you
the
sit
whole
down,
thing,
it's all
station,
the
the
stuff,
good thing,
yeah.
But it's still a ridiculous price. One good thing is it became really easy to figure out which vendor to go with. I mean, Eaton said we can't do it for less than 100,000, walked out, wouldn't give me a quote.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm still talking with them. Once again, I tried to get our old company to do it, wouldn't touch it. You know, they were like, hey, we'll try it for $1,000
So it'll
a day.
come like pre-built, ready to go?
Well, no, they come, they assemble it,
Yeah.
and with Watson, which is the only one that fits in the room and gives us ADA compliance, they've got a 10-year warranty. Once again, don't trust it. That's going back into the prosecutor's office because Zybex said, we'll give you a 10-year warranty, and then when you read the fine
Yeah, right.
details, well, it's 5 for this, 6 for
They'll
this,
fight
7 for
you over
this,
it, yeah.
10 for the fabric over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're standing on your head, you
Yeah.
qualify, yeah.
But one of the things they did is the lower end of the Watson furniture, it didn't move. I
Mhm.
mean, there's no adjustability, so it didn't meet certain guidelines that
ADA.
were coming out. Last one is 2010, I guess there's a new coming out. So they said, wow, let's make it move and take all the other crazy stuff out. So their expensive stuff got more expensive, and this stuff is actually right about $75,000. One of the questions I got, I'm not paying $78 for a couple of them, not gonna happen. You know, but some of those little things you look at. But we're trying to see if everything's gonna fit in this cheaper version so that we can actually do that, still get the 10-year warranty.
Sure.
And I understand we could save on the freight if we join this
Well,
purchasing.
I got the quotes for something called NCPA, which Glenn is actually looking into, so we won't have to pay freight for it. And that's something that Zybex and Watson do not participate in. They want you to pay freight.
Mm.
And that's $5,000-$6,000 on this thing.
Where's it coming out of?
Well, they ship it out of actually Washington, Oregon, it's the two factories, depending on
Mhm.
which piece is getting shipped. They drop ship it here, they come
Okay,
in, their guys put it
okay.
together for the warranty purpose, and which I'm fine with, because if it's a 10-year warranty and I can call them for anything that goes wrong, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Well, there's certainly a lot to look at, and I know, talking to Scott and Dave, that you've been doing a lot of research and homework on putting this all together and trying to get us positioned in the best product for what we can afford without spending, obnoxious amount of money,
Well, the other thing, like with the furniture, we also look, Menor uses Ibex, great stuff. A little bit of a different system than the Watson. We looked at the Watson at Lorraine and at Kent PD, they use the Mercury Pro consoles. I mean, they got bigger wallets, I guess, but they're like super, super awesome stuff. This Mercury Light, haven't gone out to see. Everything else is pretty much the same, other than it doesn't lift as much, but you're not trying to jack up a car. The Mercury Light takes 600 pounds and lifts it. If there's more than 600 pounds on that desk, we got another conversation with that with somebody.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of the stuff, they price it because they're putting it in places that are, like just ridiculous. I mean,
Mhm.
so I'm not 100, I'm sure about Watson, because that's what'll fit in. I'm not sure about the actual version, because I got a lot of angst spending that much money for furniture if I could
Sure,
drive it the other
sure.
way.
So we won't approve that today.
No, all
This
that's
is
on the
just-
financials is to move the money in place,
Okay.
kind of like the max they would need. And we're
Okay.
hoping to save money from that.
Okay.
So the ADP amount that we approved was $299, right?
Oh, well, they had the fiber in it, so I think it was a little bit higher than that, because there was 50,
And we're approving 420, so
420, yeah, because we have the fiber.
that's a not to exceed amount, right?
Right.
Right, right.
And so we're gonna be actually paying less than that.
Well, I think we'll hit the 420, because like I said, we're putting the fiber in, furniture in, we've kind of count the rack stuff, because I wasn't gonna pay somebody $165 an hour to come out and screw rack equipment in. Not gonna
Mhm.
happen. So, we'll still be close to that 420, because we also have to do our own electrical work to move the positions, and we're doing our own internal wiring. They wanted to bring a cable company in. Once again, I like unions, I was in a union for a while, I can drag and punch down cable.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's
so,
good.
we are saving money under that, but we'll still be up at the 420 mark, but we're not just spending money for the sake of spending.
Yeah.
And so you're not expecting us to exceed that?
420, never, not a chance, that's a hard line.
Does that include furniture and stuff?
That includes everything, that's a hard line.
Yep.
Okay.
These vendors like to jack it up, bait and switch, and I told them, no, this is the stock, well, like the phone thing, they try to do the same thing. This, I mean, you'll see the actual quote, it was, for 343 was the first thing they started, but when I started with Airbus, I kept saying, this is what we have to have, this is the price you have to make it fit into, or I
What-
go to Zerker.
What do you expect the lifespan? Our last system lasted 13 years. What do you expect this system to stretch us to?
Realistically, they like to do what's called a 5-year hardware refresh, which costs you maybe 10, 20 grand to redo everything and keep things up to speed.
Mhm.
Part of where they get you is if you don't have maintenance, then you haven't been upgrading all along, and they hit you with this big bill. If you do keep the maintenance, it's just you're buying new hardware. So 5 years is what a lot of people use. That's not what I want to do. We also had the same spiel with our early alley modems. We left the vendor, we got to put it right through the county for the other servers, got our own hard drives and stuff like that. Because after you watch what these people do for 5 years, they weren't doing anything. I can change a hard drive, and if you're not going to update the software, and I can lock it in the box, great. Personally, I'd like this to go at least 10 to 20 years, because I'll be gone.
Good. Yeah, I was just gonna say, what happens when you're not here, you know?
Well, actually, we've got 2 other people,
Okay.
and we've already talked about it, and I obviously don't have it in writing, because commissioners have agreed, but nobody's got a problem with trying to work with Summit Lake County.
Okay.
Okay? That way you have multiple people that are looking at the same stuff in case there's a problem.
In Lake's supporting Mentor, and the
Mentor.
telecommunications director lives in Geauga County, so I think we have a good relationship.
So, I mean, down the road, you know, I just think that, you know, obviously this is the way to go for several reasons. I think that we're gonna be able to reduce what we're, you know, out of pocketing to everybody.
Right. One thing, just a comment, I guess, is, you know, with some of these maintenance agreements and service agreements that come, you know, later on down the line, we still need to try and budget for those, right?
Absolutely.
You know, because, I mean, those things can kind of.
Surprises.
Yeah,
We don't
right.
want surprises.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's why I had to put it
Yeah.
in this quote, because the first time Motorola sent it out, and I already knew what Motorola had done to ECW, they didn't have it in the quote.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so you spend $300,000 or $250,000, they come back and say, hey, we'd like an extra $50,000 or your stuff's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Not that Motorola would ever do that.
Scott was pretty smart bringing you in here, because you took a lot of the questions I had right off the table. I heard a lot.
Well, I just heard how he was able to explain this at the ADP board. I said,
You
this
did a
is
nice
good.
job.
He's smart by knowing he's got to bring somebody in.
That's right. You made me comfortable with
Yeah.
your decision process, and you know that I know something about the industry that you're dealing with.
And also
And
part of
so-
what's in this, because I know you like looking down the road, you might look at, hey, we've got this many positions, but we're asking for this many. We still have to figure out what we're doing with Chardon. Like I say, I don't like to do things that aren't proven. We're gonna be putting 2 positions over in DDS, EMA building, because the state wants to say, what happens if somebody wants a
Back up.
pepper spray goes loose in the room, what do you do?
Mhm.
We go over there. By the same token, we want to try to run those positions on a temporary basis at times through our radio network. We've got this big thing that we spend a lot of money for. That's one of the 2 paths. That can cut our circuit costs in half, going to Chardon or going to Lake County. Like I say, this stuff is funny. If you separate what they call the A and B side, you have 2 bricks. So you really got to be careful about that. As far as the positions, you don't want to do live 911 calls if you don't really have a stable network. Then how do you know you got a stable network? How do you prove that? Yeah, so you're going to see why do they have these 2 positions. That's why they're there.
Okay.
The other reason is they said you have to have a maintenance, you have to have a configuration workstation. Well, in Summit, imagine their IT's down in Building 8 and PSAP's up here. They have to have 2 of them. Well, I said, my office is like 30 feet. I'd rather spend the money for a dispatch position than have to sit in my office that hopefully I won't be using every day. So that's why you see those type of numbers there. If you're thinking like, hey, they've only got 5, why do they want 8? You know?
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Feels like Shark Tank.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Well, you did a nice
You
job.
got an investor. Yeah.
Did you get all that?
Oh, I did very well, thank you very much.
All right. Morning, Adrian.
Did you hear some of the conversation that we had this morning?
Yes,
That's
yes,
it.
I did, thank you.
We were just talking about maintenance agreements and how much we need to go back and look at all
Oh,
the maintenance
yeah.
agreements
Yeah.
for software and stuff, because
Those things.
we're getting killed, and it's easy for the vendors to take advantage of you in those, unless you
Yeah.
go back and you look at those.
I agree.
Now,
Yep.
this gentleman, I didn't remember his name.
Lou?
Lou. Did a nice job of explaining it, and made me comfortable with the fact that he looked at a lot of
Yeah.
that, and that's good. We need
Definitely
more of
prepared.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that's, we want the people to see, the taxpayers to see, we're not just spending near $500,000 lightly. We're
Yeah.
looking at every single.
Exactly.
And the Spillman one that's in the financials today, that, they've actually driven that price down from last year, and it's gonna go down even more. So they're definitely looking at those things and seeing where they
Doing
can
the
save
same,
money.
you know.
So the financials for today include an appropriations transfer from the Commissioner's Miscellaneous Fund to the Maintenance Equipment account for the purchase of a new lawnmower and a used van from Water Resources. A cash transfer from various funds, including the general fund, to pay the August 2018 Windstream bill. A cash transfer from the Commissioner's miscellaneous transfer out account to the Sheriff's Office 911 fund to pay for the state mandated upgrades to the system. Encumbrances include a then and now encumbrance from the Commissioner's Office to Shred It USA Incorporated for shredding done at Archives. A contract encumbrance from Water Resources to Akron Building and Outdoor Maintenance Incorporated for sanitary sewer line removal services in Hawksmoor. And the vouchers include $50,000 from the Maintenance Department to CMRS POC for additional postage for the mailing machine, $106,360.42 from the Sheriff's Office 911 fund to Spillman Technologies Incorporated for annual maintenance of their dispatch system, and $202,863.65 from the Department of Water Resources to SET Incorporated for pay request number 3 of the Bainbridge Force Main Relocation Project.
Question?
Yep.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spiller?
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian.
No, we're not getting any others about this. Apparently, after we
Yeah.
approved the motion to establish the new fund, the state auditor's office came back to the auditor's office and said, no, we want a formal resolution with signatures. So that is what is before you today, is to, the auditor's office is requesting the board to approve and execute resolution 18127, requesting to establish a new ADP contract services fund.
So again, this
For what?
is just, this is the, establish kind of like a profit center, so to speak. That it will capture all the expenses of servicing the outside townships like Chester and Bainbridge and the city of Chardon and the Park District. So the revenues they pay back to the county for that service will go to that fund, and then try to isolate all the separable expenses. So you'll be able to look and say, okay, are we not losing money on providing the service to people that we don't have to provide service to?
So currently, there's no fund set up
No,
like this?
it all kind of runs through the ADP fund. So you can manually look through it and figure it out.
Mhm.
But the idea of a fund is that it becomes very clear.
Okay, and then those dollars will come back to the general fund then?
No, they'll stay in the fund, and that's part of what, in budget time, you guys will review and say, okay, let's look at this fund. What was the beginning balance? What did you spend out? What did you take in?
Mhm.
And you can look and see if it seems to be operating the way it should.
And what would those dollars be repurposed for, potentially?
Well, the idea would be is that they would fund the activities that are
Okay,
servicing
supporting
these other-
these
Yeah,
services.
it should be like a
Okay.
standalone thing.
Okay.
ideally.
Well, let me, and Tim brings up a real good question. I've seen some of the service fees that they're planning on charging the townships and so forth, and they're creating it, from what I could see, a true profit center. That concerns me.
Well,
Because
this'll
it's a
tell you that.
tax, and it's not coming back through the commissioners to be able to take a look and be a check in the system. It comes back into the ADP board.
Right.
And, if they decide they want to charge whatever for their services, and they build up this fund, they can do all kinds of things with it. I mean, what is their latitude? or what's
Well,
the-
I mean, that's where, the budget commission would look, if there's somehow they're building up a balance that they don't really have need for, either they or this board, when they're in the budget hearings, to say, it looks like there needs to be an adjustment in the fees. If, on the other hand, they're losing money or they're not really sustaining it, then the fees may not be high enough. The idea here is you can tell either way and you can make adjustments.
So it still comes back through from the budgeting period for us to take a look at.
Absolutely.
And just to be clear, the townships have alternative to go elsewhere for these
Exactly.
services, right?
Yes, they should.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if they feel like they're getting gouged for another, they can go somewhere else?
exactly.
Okay.
What
Okay.
I created, I sent to Laura for approval, and she went back and forth with Ron to make sure that they were going under the section of the code of the ORC for contracts, whereas any remaining funds at the end of that contract would then go back. They're transferred.
Okay,
So that is something that you also will see
okay.
at the end of the year.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good, good.
Item 6 is just approving and executing the final change order to grade line for the Bainbridge, Fundiesburg improvements in Parkman Township. It's actually a decrease in the job of $187.50.
Nice. Good one.
Do a motion?
Get a motion, second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner
Aye.
Spillier?
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Airport.
Hey, Patty.
Good morning.
Hi, Patty.
I saw a bunch of really cool helicopters flying around this week. Was that from the airport out by us?
No, actually that was military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were flying in formation, like diving right over the house, yeah.
I think you might be seeing another helicopter flying around regularly.
Soon anyway.
Got a little speed demon.
Where was it, where were they coming out of?
Next.
Youngstown, okay. Yeah, that was neat.
Item 7 today is, we had been approved for a $5,000 budget for this year, and the match on this grant is going to be $26,511. So we were requesting that the board approve a budget increase to that amount so that we can cover this grant match and therefore take the grant.
Okay.
That was the first item.
Okay.
Someone,
Second?
I don't know if we were going to read it or need to read it.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
The second item is the grant itself. We've been working on a grant for about 2 years with the FAA to install new runway lighting. It includes all the lighting on runway 1129, the taxiways, and others. And it's happy lights and beacon and wind cone, all of those things together. The total grant amount, we are using LED lighting, and the total grant amount is $530, $219. That's the total cost. FAA will cover $477, $197. That leaves a little over $52,000. 26 would be provided by the state, which will be bringing a grant to you, grant offer for that. And the other $26,511 will be from the county. Any questions on that?
No, it seems to be
So
pretty
moved.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye. And then we'll see you guys then next Thursday, I believe, right?
Right,
Two,
27.
so, okay.
Yes, please.
Good.
Anything else?
I think we're
We have a
good.
lot to sign.
Yep.
Yeah, there is a lot to sign. Believe me, I put all those little, well, Reed put the tags on, but, yeah.
This is just for the president of the board, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
just
was
the
right.
president.
Love it. So this is a pretty good return on our investment, really. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for, 5%, we're getting 90% return, or 95% return.
Yeah, for 26,000, you're getting $530,000 worth of
Yeah,
work.
that's a,
And we've upgraded the lights to LED lighting. We initially started the lighting looking at it because as we were repairing lights, the corrosion of the wires underground was getting severe.
mhm.
We weren't real sure we were ever going to make it to this time without some of the lights failing.
Mhm.
Then our beacon started going where it was on and off and on and off and on and off, and the electrician said that there was an issue that was causing the ceramic portion to explode. So it's getting a surge at
Getting
some
old,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, so that needed to be replaced, and as we started looking at it, then we upgraded to LED lighting. I didn't see in any way, shape, or form in this day that you don't go ahead to LED lighting instead of
Mhm.
No,
traditional
definitely.
lighting.
Mhm.
So we went that route, and they did make us, we wanted to put this grant in last year, but they did make us save up another year's entitlements, so that another $150,000 of our entitlements would go towards it,
Mhm.
and then they would just have to kick in the rest from their apportionment funds.
How's overall activity been this summer out at the airport?
Oh, we are crazy busy.
Yeah, good.
We are crazy busy. Lots of activity. We see several twins that are coming in on a regular basis. One of them does business or apparently has purchased Sajar Plastics.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
And, that's right next door.
Yeah.
There's a lot of airports that are more suited maybe to him with service and the type of fuel he uses, things like that, but,
Right.
you know, he can walk and say.
Right there, yeah. That's
So he's been
convenient.
using it. There's another twin that comes in out of New York on a regular basis, that can use our fuel, so he's been fueling up, and that's been a nice increase in our profits.
Absolutely.
Because those planes take up a bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, all hangars are full. We've still got a waiting list. We keep getting more people on the waiting list,
Good.
so we're doing well.
And we did move our rates up a little bit last year, didn't we? Didn't we bump them up a little bit?
The year before
Year
we did.
before, yeah.
And that should be on the November agenda for the next year.
Okay, good.
What's your low that going for right now, gallon?
522. We have some airports that I've seen around that are 510 and maybe some as low as 490. I think it's probably, they may purchase in a larger bulk than we do.
Yeah. So, and we get that from where?
We are not branded. We make sure we go through the process to get 3 quotes from all the suppliers. And then we take the lowest quote. 8100 low lead is 8100 low lead.
Right.
So we take the lowest quote and we go from there. But there's really 3 companies that we use regularly: Aero Energy, Air BP, which is Epic Fuels, and oh yeah, Epic is Air BP and Epic. So, you know, I make sure we go through and get quotes for all of them first.
And we have how many gallons there usually?
We have a 6,000 gallon tank, and we probably fill it 3, sometimes 4 times a year, depending. This year it'll probably only be 3. We had a lot of wet, rainy days this year,
Yeah.
early, that we didn't use as much as usual.
You want to mention your airport day coming up too?
Saturday, the airport turns 50.
Oh, really?
It's the 50th anniversary from the actual dedication of the airport was September 29th of 68. Governor Rhodes flew in a DC-3 at that time.
No kidding.
And they did the dedication and had a little ceremony. So
Wow.
we'll be doing we regularly have a program in September anyway, so we moved it from the 3rd week of September to the 29th so that we could commemorate this specifically. So in the morning, they'll have their pancake breakfast. The EAA chapter puts that on. They fly on Eagles. They've expanded their youth program, and it's pretty cool. They have stations and a little passport, so the kids can come in and get their passport and go to all the stations, and if they fill a number of stations, then they receive some prizes, and
Great.
of course they get to fly free, all dependent on weather.
Yep.
Then about noon, which is, you are all invited, noon to come out, we're gonna have a ceremony where Mayor of Middlefield is going to present the actual shovel used in the original groundbreaking.
No kidding.
That's neat.
Huh.
To our board, so that we
Great.
can display that for the future. We've also invited some of those original businesses that are still in business to come out, that were the original companies that raised $20,000 to buy the original 41 acres, 41
Property.
acre
Yeah.
property.
That's cool.
That was the Chamber of Commerce, and then in the afternoon, we have some additional things going on, some demonstrations. Medevac will be there, the Glider Club will be there. We have some drones coming in, and
Cool.
this is new and upcoming all over the country, is drones operating at airports. I mean, that was a major no-no. You couldn't do anything within 5 miles of an airport.
Right.
And just like individual cars that may take flight soon, this technology is all over the place. And actually yesterday I spoke at a Kent State Aerospace Engineering Conference for Lost Nation Airport.
Yeah.
That's where they held it yesterday. And it's all such cool technology coming up that,
Yeah.
if you don't get on board, you'll be left behind.
Right. Gotta keep up.
So it's all neat stuff. Long time coming yet, but it's getting there.
That's great.
And what has triggered it to be compatible with airplanes is that FAA has now required all airplanes equipped with an ADBS system where everybody can see each other. And these drones will also be equipped, so now we can see the drones for the first time.
No kidding.
That was the danger in having them at the airport earlier.
Are you talking like a big drone or these
No,
little
some
teeny
small
ones?
ones.
Yeah, okay.
having any drones where pilots can't see them when they're taking off and landing has just been way too dangerous to have in an
Yeah.
airport. Now with the new ADBS systems, with everybody having them, everybody can see everybody,
Mhm.
and that makes a huge difference.
So what purpose would a drone have around an airplane?
Well, we had one, as a matter of fact, the county EMA services was out this last week to photograph everything around the airport, so for EMS purposes,
Mhm.
they used it as an aerial photograph. So there's drones around the airport, both commercially and pleasure.
Mhm.
And we've got a family out at the end of the runway that we have to rein in every once in a while because their technology hasn't reached their system yet, and they just can't be flying at the end of the runway.
Oh, I see.
So we've had to rein them in a little bit, but we've got people all over the place that call for drones. They want to fly their drones. They have to call the airport and get approval. I have to look up their location, how high they're going, where they're going to be, and see if that is something that would interfere
Mhm.
or not interfere, and then I'll give them permission to go ahead and fly their drones. Anything within 5 miles right now.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, that's all. That stretches almost to Burton.
Yeah, right, that's
So that's a pretty big area that has.
Great.
Are we gonna see any of these drones out there this weekend?
Not this weekend, no. No, that's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Patty.
And by the
Very
way,
interesting.
the pancakes are really good.
They are.
This is
There's
new
a
to us this Saturday?
Special recipes, huh?
The
29th?
pancakes are done by the EAA.
29th.
It's the 29th.
Okay,
Twenty-ninth.
okay.
Pancakes are done by the EAA, and they do have their own recipe, and if you look at it, it's pretty much a cookie recipe. So the pancakes are awesome. They have bacon, sausage.
I'm getting hungry because I didn't eat this
I tell you
morning.
what.
Yeah, yeah.
We have, the EAA group has started going to other airports to put on the breakfast for those chapters.
No kidding.
Because they are so adapted to it. I mean, they haul their stove and their grill and, just everything.
Just keep saying.
Great.
Yeah, the pancakes are really good.
They are. And the Young Eagles program that we run is extremely quality with all the new youth stuff that we have
Oh,
going
yeah.
on. It used to be just rides with a qualified EAA
Right.
Young Eagles pilot,
Yeah.
and now this has just taken off. This youth committee for EAA has just taken off, and they have wonderful things there. They even have a riveting station that they teach kids how to rivet.
Nice.
And they have tons of stuff going on for them.
Is the Breezy gonna be out there?
Actually, the Breezy was sold yesterday.
Oh, no.
Ryan sold the Breezy yesterday to a museum down south of us, and
I was gonna see if Tim would go for a ride in it.
it's
Sure.
fun.
I'll
It's
do it.
fun.
You know what a Breezy is?
Is that one of the parachute things? that-
No, it's an open air.
Just a completely open, you sit it on a lawn chair.
Yeah.
And, basically, and get,
I have pictures of them in it from a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
it
so.
literally
I'll
is
sit on
like
it.
sitting on the lawn chair on the front of an airplane with maybe a weed eater mower on it.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, it's a blast, you'd love it, Tim.
Yeah.
But it was cool to ride, absolutely cool to ride.
Cool. All right, thank you, Patty.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
It's gonna take a while.
Okay.
They're gonna have to hang out.
Okay, no problem.
Jessica?
Morning. Yeah, great annual meeting yesterday.
Yep. Well done. Well attended.
Two additions.
Okay.
So due to the reorganization that we had in our department, our internal operations manager now is the first level of oversight for our fiscal operations as well as payroll, so we had to update our accounting and payroll forms.
So that's all.
That's number 9.
Yep. Right.
So do we have a motion on that?
Someone,
Second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Clement?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Yes.
And we do have, is it 2 add-ons today for some employee matters? Do you want to explain or would you like me to?
I'll let you explain first and then we'll go.
Sure. So I've had an employee, Ms. Teddy Wallace, out since the end of June. And she had been on FMLA leave since that point. About 1 month into her leave, she exhausted all of her sick and vacation and has been on donated time. We had that policy where you could donate time to other employees, and that has been certainly a blessing to her. So we're thankful that we have that policy in place. But we have been donating time since the beginning of August. And she has decided to move forward and fill out disability paperwork. And she had sent a letter a few days ago, requesting the board grant her a voluntary disability separation from her employment. And her last day of employment, she's asking to be tomorrow, on Friday. As I said, she has been on FMLA. Kathy has done a wonderful job, as well as Karen Stone at my office, getting updates from physicians. And we have absolutely no reason to dispute her medical condition. I think the physicians have been very clear, and I think what Teddy has done is very appropriate.
Okay.
So we'll do them together. The Department on Aging is requesting the board acknowledge receipt of a letter from Teddy Wallace dated September 14, 2018, requesting a voluntary disability separation. The Department on Aging is requesting the board grant the employee Teddy Wallace the request for a voluntary disability separation pursuant to OAC 123-1-30-02 to be effective September 21st, 2018. Ms. Wallace shall retain the right to be reinstated to her position for 2 years from the date she is no longer in active work status.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Good.
Not bad.
Just one comment on the drone flights that Patty mentioned. Roger's been doing a number of drone flights for the Department of Economic Development, including the airport. So he's flown some properties in Middlefield for us. And the ultimate goal, when he has time, obviously, the ultimate goal is to be able to fly all the available sites and then post that up on the
nice.
website. So that if you're interested in the county, you can fly it.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
cool.
Very good.
And he's really very good at it. I mean, I don't know if I told you this before or not, but we saw another example of that at another town, Sandusky County, and they paid for that.
Yeah.
To get done.
His
Oh, yeah, I'm
is
sure.
as good a quality,
Yeah.
if not better. So,
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does a great job.
Cool.
So a couple of things for this board today. The first is a notice of commencement. This is some housekeeping paperwork on the work that's being done under the grant out at Berkshire Schools Board of Education building on the entrance work. And this is just required paperwork that, from what I understand, basically allows somebody who may have a lien to preserve their right to a lien.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the Department of Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the notice of commencement for Lakeland Management Systems Incorporated in regards to the Berkshire Local Schools Board Office Accessibility Upgrades Project.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Mhm.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Okay, next item, number 11, we are requesting this board to authorize us to proceed with requesting proposals for the development of a long-term strategic economic development plan for the county. Going out to a minimum of 3 local consultants, local meaning Ohio-based, to help us put together this long-term plan.
So how does this mesh with, I mean, I'm concerned about hiring multiple consultants here. And so why would this be separate from the planning commission consultant that's being talked about? And how would this be blended? Because I can see a lot of overlap here.
Well, I am looking to hire a economic development consultant, and I think that's different than a planning consultant that Dave would use for his overall, updating of the overall comprehensive plan. That's the difference that I see.
A lot of that,
This-
as we've been talking about that plan on the planning commission,
Mhm.
a key emphasis of that plan is economic development.
Right.
And so there's a lot of overlap, and I can see if you're hiring 2 consultants and they're doing the same thing, I don't know why we would do that. So it seems to me that we should be coordinating or cooperating with the planning commission to make sure we're not hiring 2 consultants that will be doing basically the same thing. So,
Yeah, in conversations with Dave, I think the other key factor is my timing.
Right.
I think Dave's timing could, and I can't speak for Dave, but in conversations with him, it appears to me that his plan updating could take close to 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, getting it off the ground, you can't wait around. If you're gonna qualify for, apply for this grant money to help you pay for
Yes.
this study, we don't have time to wait.
We're
Yeah.
in with an amendment on the
Yeah.
grant work right now
Exactly.
to reallocate these funds, so.
I know I agree, I know what Skip's thinking and saying.
Yeah.
And I do believe that there is synergy between these two plans, and I think, maybe in the past, there was not enough emphasis on the economic development side of the plan, our comprehensive plan, maybe none at all, right?
Right.
I don't even, but it was more, that was more focused on zoning and different types of things like that. I think they will have to jive at some point. These are gonna have to come together,
Yes.
right? Because you're gonna have to know your zoning.
So if we lay out all
Yeah.
the criteria
Yep.
for both
Yep.
plans together,
Yep.
we're not gonna pay twice
Right.
for the elements of the plan that fall under the economic development.
I guess-
And that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
suggest. I mean, is there a grant helping to pay for this? Is that what I heard you
That's the
say?
plan,
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's true, to Tim's point, I would have no problem moving forward with this. But what I would ask, and actually probably watch pretty carefully, is that whatever we do here, we don't redo in the countywide
Yes.
plan. So whatever consultant we're gonna hire in there, they're gonna use
That's right.
the information you've already done, so we're not double paying here. We're not
So as an
hiring
example,
consultants just to
if
hire
there's-
consultants.
If there are
so.
a dozen items that have to be handled into the combined plans, 5, 6, 7, and 8 might be mine, and we pull that out of the specifications that we'd be paying the other consultant for, so there's no duplication.
Well, and the other request that I have of you, and I know that this may be a sensitive issue,
Mhm.
but in the economic development, a lot of the businesses that I talk to in Geauga County are impacted by the model template that we have in the county and zoning and so on and so forth. And so whatever this consultant is doing, I'd like for him to look at that zoning template and all of the conditions, the environmental conditions around what prevents and what's barriers for economic development in Geauga County.
Part of the
So they're not looking at
overall
necessarily the
economic
legal
analysis.
side of it, but they're looking at the technical, structural parts of what we've got going on. I mean, I just talked to a guy yesterday about some issues he was having with Cheshire zoning and trying to get a business up and running, so. So I think that that's an important component of this, and hopefully you'll include that, so.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with moving forward with this request, though.
Okay, great.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Mhm.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
thank you.
Yep. We'll keep in touch for sure.
Oh,
on
yeah.
this. Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right.
Morning, Roger.
I've seen a lot of you lately.
And next week, too.
No real emergencies. Did you get that bee's nest I showed you? That's an emergency. That's a big one.
I talked to maintenance, I told him, I said, I'm bringing my 7 dust.
Yeah, yeah. We need to drop a bomb on that thing. Yeah.
Hey, but those have medical purposes. You gotta be saving those little things, you know?
That's what I hear.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Go out there and lasso them
I
and
think-
stick them in a bag.
Tag
and-
'em.
I think
Yeah,
we
give them
raised
to a
them.
professor someplace. And let
She
'em,
freezes them and stores them.
Could save somebody's life with one of those little games.
Yeah. Well, they're yellow jackets, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice stain, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
So number 12 is a intergovernmental agreement between the Ohio Department of Public Safety, the Ohio Emergency Management Agency, and our county. And what this allows to happen is, in the event of an emergency, if they request assistance from the county EMA, either for in-state or out-of-state, it would allow the reimbursement process back to the county to pay for equipment and payroll. So this was spurred on by the hurricane down in North Carolina, but I talked to the Ohio EMA and I said, really, this agreement shouldn't be signed when there's a hurricane coming. This agreement should be signed every January and good for 1 year. So if there's a disaster anywhere, if there's a nuclear disaster somewhere else and they need assistance with it, we're able to go down and help them out, and then the county can recoup the costs related to payroll.
I
That
see.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're not scrambling out
So
the
we
door.
can fly our
right?
drones down there and make a buck in the process.
Right.
So this one's only through the end of the year, but there's.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Congrats,
Thanks.
Chris, and then-
How did we get our results back
So
from Perry?
the official results have not come in, but the unofficial results were job well done and no issues.
Okay.
So it went very well.
That was our Perry nuclear power plant drill this week.
And Lake County did good. Thompson Fire Department did good. And I was evaluating in Asheville last night for the Red Cross for them to set up a care center over at Edgewood High School.
Oh, good.
So
Super.
everything.
How long is it gonna be before we can re-enter Lake County now that the radiation is dispersed there?
Are we allowed to let the cattle out yet?
They clean up that plane crash. They always have that plane crash.
Yeah, yeah.
So you want
Yeah.
just take this one back.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Good day. All right.
Kelly is up.
Kelly's up for the
Hey,
first
Kelly.
time, and she's got great news.
Take note.
Yeah.
I got a lot of questions for you.
Oh,
Kelly.
geez.
This is a
The first
controversial
one is his
subject.
favorite subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wellness and wellness. The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board to accept and approve our interactive health program action plan level 2 for the upcoming year. I know you have stuff in front of you. Interactive health giving an updated design. This is the actual design that they have laid out for us this year. The interactive health for our employees to participate in and collect their points towards the wellness
I see.
incentive, which this year the wellness incentive is going to just be for the reduced rates for their premiums. Semco is getting rid of the monetary incentive
They are.
for next year.
They're getting rid of it.
They're getting rid of it.
What are we getting
So
rid
this
of?
will help our rates then, if we get the higher points? Okay.
Yes.
But there won't be a monetary bonus or something like that?
No.
Okay.
What did you say we were getting rid of?
The monetary incentive that the employees get for participating, reaching their 600 points at the end of this year, they receive $200 as a bonus for completing the
Mhm.
program. That portion of the incentive is going away.
So we're gonna get a lower rate and get the money back, is that what Tim was asking?
So, well, the healthcare rates are, as we go down.
Is that
those are-
overall our rates will go down, or those people that scored their 600
Well,
points?
by eliminating this payment next year, people get their 600 points. Yeah, theoretically, that's money, and that money was provided, we were reimbursed by Sevco,
Yeah.
up to including for this year. They would give us that money that then is paid out to the employees. So theoretically, if they're not paying out that money, you might see a minuscule adjustment or beneficial impact on our rates.
And they are going to be reallocating that money into different incentives, such as people that have been identified with pre-diabetes
Yeah.
are going to
I'd rather have my 200 bucks.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
These incentives don't work.
The healthy people that
Cash talks,
don't
right?
have
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
they're not gonna be qualified to participate in
Yeah.
some of these other wellness programs.
The history on this is we were one of the very first counties to introduce differential rates. And basically, this goes back, I don't know, 2010 or whatever we implemented. And we'd had very good rates, low rates for our employees, and we changed it to say, you can keep that rate, but now you have to do certain things. And if you don't do those certain things, you're gonna pay more.
Right.
So we have
Like
so we
almost like
talked
a
about
penalty,
the tiered system, and other counties saw how successful that was from us, and so that's really something where we were a leader in that. And now they're basically kind of going back to that and saying, we're not gonna have this other incentive, but we like the idea that a county will charge more to an employee who won't do those fairly simple
I
things
see.
to be mindful of their wellness.
I mean, they're pretty easy things to accomplish, as far as what they're asking, right? I mean, they're not,
It's surprisingly as simple as some of them
Yeah.
are, just the number of counties that participate. Of the 33 counties that participate in this program, of the 5 top counties that have more than 600 employees participating, Geauga County ranks number 1 in participation.
oh, good.
The latest report showed that 55.3% of our eligible employees participate.
Excellent. We're in first place.
It's important to our employees that we
Yes.
keep this going.
Yep.
So we're gonna read this for the first one, or?
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board accept and approve the 2019 Geauga County Zepco Interactive Health Personal Health Action Plan Level 2 for the period October 15, 2018 through August 15, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
So we need a sponsor.
Mhm.
And then for the renewal rate,
The renewal rate, that's where the real good news comes in for the county. For our healthcare plan for the coming year for Sudco, we actually have, our increase this year actually went down. Our rates have gone down 1.2%.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 33 counties in the state that participate in Sudco's plan, we only have, there's 6, we rank number 6 as far as the improvement.
So moved.
And again, part of that reflects to me as part of our wellness program, because our rebates, our prescription rebates, our rates were 3%, and then the rebates that we got brought our rate down to minus 1.2%.
And those are, I think, as you were pointing, someone was pointing out the other day, it's those rebates would typically be kept by the insurance company if you were out on your own with private insurance. They would pocket that because they're entitled to a profit. Here, that gets reflected in rates, so you take, well, we're a 3% increase, and we're getting a 1% decrease. Another benefit.
All the
to Sudco.
rebates, that we collect come directly to Geauga County.
Okay.
It's not dispersed amongst all the
Good.
So, again,
Okay.
people are participating in wellness, they are seeing their doctor and taking their prescriptions.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll second that.
I know what you're doing.
You're doing good, Kelly.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
I did my research.
So moved.
Commissioner Claypool? Chip
Second,
seconded,
yeah.
he did, so Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
aye.
Thank you.
And the healthcare rates,
You just have to accept the Subco rate renewal. and
So
sign
moved.
it, so.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, so that's.
Do you wanna talk about this? You
well,
sounded
just
like.
the rate renewal, the chart that we put together reflects that the employee's contribution will remain the same,
Mhm.
and the county's contribution is not.
Yep.
And then finally, we have just for approval, no change for the Geauga County waivers for employees that choose not to have.
Anybody have any questions on that? Is that,
The rate renewal?
No, the waiver rate.
Oh,
So we get, for a family plan, someone's eligible for a family plan that chooses to use their spouse's insurance. So they have to document they have another plan. Is it $2,088 a year?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the county pays the employee that, but the idea is, if they're not on our health care, the county's contribution to that person's health care over a year is what, $16,000 for the year? So it's a savings to the county if an employee chooses to use their spouse's insurance. So this is incentive, and that waiver rate cannot be more than, I think, 25% of the county's costs to
Sure.
provide health care.
Right.
Now, so our costs have gone up, but we haven't changed the waiver. It's been $2,088 for many years. So it's enough to provide them with an incentive that if they can get their health care through their spouse, that gives them incentive to do it. And for every employee that does that, that's saving the county money. So
Mhm.
it's a win-win for both sides.
yeah, and just to, I guess, make note, we did change the renewal, or the rate per employee last year.
Right.
We went up a little bit.
Right. Went from 127 to 154 for a
Right.
family plan.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, just trying to be more in line with what's going on out in the real world. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion on the waiver rates?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Mhm.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
What's a double motion?
Yeah. That's all right. We really meant it. That's right.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Good job.
I do have one more to bring up. This morning I received, before I came in here, a email from Laura that the Hampton Township Board of Trustees have chosen to withdraw their opposition to the liquor license that was requested by OSSO LLC. Therefore, the hearing that had been scheduled for September 25th at JFS is no longer needed. So, I just want to make sure that you were aware of that and if you concur with that withdrawal. Because you concur with them to request the hearing, so I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that they had withdrawn that and so that the hearing has been canceled.
What was the hearing for?
Liquor license.
The liquor license.
Yep.
Yep, I concur.
So, I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, and
I
then,
don't fully understood our involvement in the process.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, when a liquor license request is made into this office, I fax the information to make sure that the township receives the same information that we do. And you can either choose to request a hearing or not request a hearing. And typically, in the past, the commissioners have chosen to concur with what the township is requesting. And they chose to request a hearing on this particular liquor license request because it's a private residence that is constructing a business on 608.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
all right, other than that, next week we've got budget hearings starting on the 25th at 8:15. And we'll have budget hearings, I believe, after we get done also, correct? Starting at noon, so.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start early next Tuesday because you're here.
Yep.
And those are open to the public. Yep. So if anyone's interested,
The only change I will note is the one on October 2nd, the Common Pleas Court IT.
Right.
right.
They requested a different date, so we're waiting to make sure that you guys are in agreement with the new change, and then we'll put an amendment on to formally move that budget.
So if anyone's interested in sitting through a specific budget hearing, you're more than welcome.
Other than that, that's all I got.
David suggested we wait till next Tuesday.
Okay.
So we put it right together.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So we can actually call it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Second that.
Must have had 50 turkeys in the front door.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my God.
We gotta go.
Being swarmed.
Yeah. You gotta let me come over.